Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Miscellaneous Minds Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El Gato.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Turkey Al Sheik collabing with Dana White to form TKO Boxing. Let's talk about it.
So, very recently, Dana White and Turkey Al-Sheik made an announcement basically saying that they're coming together to put together what is called TKO Boxing. So, obviously, you guys know TKO basically has WWE, they have UFC, and now it looks like they're about to have their own boxing league. A number of people have came out and basically discussed how they feel about this TKO Boxing. Mauricio Suleiman, who is the president of the WBC, said, hey, I'm not worried about it at all. Canelo Alvarez said, look, I honestly don't care because I'm going to be champion in my division, so it doesn't really matter. So on and so forth. Kind of wanted to give you guys our thoughts on this. Now, listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little worried. Don't get me wrong, Turkey Al-Sheik has made a number of phenomenal matches that were not for him would probably not be made. What worries me about this is that one man having his hand on all the levers not an organization, but of a sport like boxing, worries me because Dana White doesn't have a great track record in this. And Turkey Al-Sheik did say, hey, I'm coming together with Dana White, but my man here is going to be the one handling it. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people may not know. Ever since his early beginnings, Dana White has wanted to be in boxing. He can say, oh, boxing is in a terrible condition and blah, blah, blah. But Dana White has always been dick riding the sport of boxing. For a long time, a lot of you may not know, he was actually the bag boy for Floyd Mayweather. And, he definitely got his licks in at that moment in time, basically running around and taking care of the errands of someone like Floyd. And then, obviously, eventually he went on to, I don't want to say he boxed. It wasn't really him. It was more the Fertitas. I don't know what their name is. They ended up buying the UFC, and eventually they turned it into the, billion-dollar corporation, whatever that it is now. Shout out to him. That being said, we all know that Dana White isn't exactly known for treating his fighters the best. Again, even the highest paid UFC stars, the Jones of the world, the Conor McGregors and so on, they don't get paid boxer money. So the fact that now all of a sudden we have someone like Turkey Al-Sheik and Dana White coming together to form their own boxing league, essentially, I don't have high hopes for the people getting paid what they really are. Because what Dana wants to do, maybe not so much Turkey, because Turkey just seems like a real fan of the sport. What Dana wants to do is he just wants to control the whole thing. Again, Dana White can say all he wants, but he's always had a hard-on for boxing more than the MMA, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, right now he's running the MMA because, again, he got this opportunity to get in early on and buy it for basically nothing in the beginning compared to what it's worth now, especially. But he's always had a hard-on for boxing. He's always wanted to be part of boxing. He's dips and dabs into boxing. So he's always wanted to get into it, and that's why I'm worried. I trust Turkey more than I trust Dana, but at the same time, Dana's going to be part of it. In fact, it kind of looks like Dana's going to be running it. And that's what worries me. Dana don't give no damn about nothing other than himself. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, no, look what he's done with the UFC and blah, blah. He didn't do it by himself. There was always the money man. In this case, the money man is Turkey. And again, if you look throughout the years, even in some of the leaked documents, some of the documents that came out during the lawsuits, many, many lawsuits that have come against the UFC, Dana White and his crew have basically stated behind closed doors that they don't care about the fighters. Pay them less. If they act too aggressive, tell them never mind. We're not going to book a fight for them. So on and so forth, and on and on and on. Dana White is not a good person to be controlling the sport of boxing. And I'll be honest with you, I've been watching boxing since I was a little guy, since I was about 12, 13 years old. And given that I've seen so many great fights, we don't really need Dana White. Now, I know, again, because of Turkey Al-Sheik, a lot of great fights have been made. But then again, like I said, why does Dana White need to be involved? Dana White is like the parasite that squirms his way into the fish and just globs on and sucks the life out of him. Because, again, tell me, even if the highest paid, and I mean the highest paid, MMA star even comes close to the B+ fighters of boxing. A plus. The A plus. I mean, we're talking about the Tyson Furies, the Canelo Alvarez's, the Anthony Joshua's, Terrence Crawford, so on and so forth. All these dudes are making way, 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 way more than any MMA fighter could. I mean, just last year, Usyk and Fury cleared like 100 G's. Tell me when's the last time McGregor even came close to that. Tell me the last time that John Jones even came close to that. The only reason McGregor ever got anywhere near 100 million is because of who? Floyd Mayweather, a boxer. So again, Dana White is not the person you want running this thing. Now here's the thing. I'm willing to give Turkey a chance because, again, I think Turkey is a true fan of the sport, and I think he wants to see it run where all the best fights are coming together. But I'll be honest with you, he's been doing a pretty good job by himself. So, again, why do we need Dana White? What do you think about that, my man?
Okay, so look, there's a couple of things about this, especially with Dana White's announcement about TKO boxing, the collaboration. There's a couple of things that he actually said where at first glance, it may not seem like, okay, this is actually for the benefit of the sport. But when you think about it, when you read in between the fine lines, it kind of goes against something that's actually been more beneficial to the sport of boxing. And he kind of gives it up. Again, if you didn't know about it beforehand, it might seem like a grand old thing. So I'm going to read what Dana White said. He said, UFC president Dana White told ESPN on Wednesday the new TKO boxing venture is going back to the old school with one championship weight per weight class. Quote, "It is all going away. There's going to be one belt and it'll be just like the UFC. The model is the model that we have in the UFC. WBC, IBF, WBA, etc., they will all deal with those traditional promoters that are out there that exist right now. We are not going to do that. We are going to have the basic weight classes that started everything, and we will have one champion. And you know how we're going to know who the champion is? Because they're going to fight their way up through the gauntlet, and once you get into the top 5, you know who the baddest 5 dudes in the heavyweight division are, and then you will find out who the champion is. They will defend their titles, and that's how it'll work." Which, again, at face value, you think, okay, what's the big deal? It doesn't really seem that bad. The problem with that is that it actually goes against the Ali Act in boxing. Now, if you didn't know what the Ali Act in boxing was, it was a federal act that was actually enacted in 1999, I believe, that actually basically said that basically the reason that we have the WBA, the WBC, the IBF all kind of going against each other, I guess in an act of competition, is that there would actually be a little bit more oversight as to general welfare and basically the general practices of boxing is. Basically, all those top rankings that we have in each division for each organization, you can basically thank the Ali Act for that. Now, granted, is it a perfect system? No. There's definitely gonna be acts of it that are gonna be holding back boxers from politics that are gonna be able to hold them back from whatever championship there is. But though not a perfect system, it at least works to at least the benefit and general welfare of some of the boxers. The fact that Dana White himself basically says, yeah, it's just going to be one championship, one division, and Dana White is going to be in charge of all of that. And he even went on to say that, look, the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, yeah, they're still going to exist. They're just probably not going to work with TKO. Which that in of itself basically says, yeah, you're basically going to try and compete with all these boxing organizations. And look, Dana White basically saying that he wants to hold all the cards for all the weight divisions all under his helm. That can't be good. We've already seen what happens when Dana White holds all the cards, especially when it comes to the UFC. Now, granted, we still have one championship. We still have, well, not Bellator anymore. Bellator kind of went down. You still have BKFC. But the fact that Dana White has gone on such a crusade saying, oh, the UFC is the biggest competitor. And let's be honest, UFC is probably the biggest competitor the biggest MMA promotion that there is, especially in North America. And they basically hold all the cards. They have the biggest biggest sports organization behind ESPN, and the fact that he's been, even from the early 2000s, going on this propaganda that only the best come to the UFC. And to be honest, to an extent, it kind of worked. But again, not without a lot of backing from the richest donors and, quite frankly, a lot of diehard fans that basically made people believe that, yeah, UFC is pretty much the apex when it comes to MMA competition. And the fact that not a whole lot of people know about BKFC or ONE, unless you're a diehard fan, kind of put the cards in favor of Dana White for holding all the cards and holding all the negotiating powder in the UFC. And the fact that we had a lot of people being screwed over, being not advertised, like Mighty Mouse, the whole situation with Francis Ngannou with the holding out the contracts and all that, and the fact that he wasn't letting anybody else hold any more boxing. I think he was trying to restrict Francis Ngannou for even doing a boxing crossover. The fact that Dana White basically had all the negotiating power, and the fact that he's now trying to do that within the sport of boxing, that spells it all out that he basically wants to control all the cards for it. The fact that Paul Malignaggi, as dumb as he is basically speaking the truth and saying, you know what? I think this is something to be worried about. And look, somebody might say, okay, well, Turki Al-Sheikh's just doing it all within the best interest of the sport. And my thing is he really? I mean, we all saw Noche UFC. Turki Al-Sheikh was bumping elbows with Dana White on Noche UFC. The same night that Saul Canelo Alvarez also had his fight against, what was it? David Morrell? No, not David Morrell. Edgar Berlanga, sorry. The fact that they were doing it on the same night and that he was bumping elbows and purposely, I think he was backing some of the money behind Noche UFC as well. And keep in mind, that's somebody that's already putting money behind the sport of boxing, and now he's putting money towards the competitor for boxing that had the same event on the same night. And you're willing to tell me that that's the person that is saying, oh, I only have the best interest of boxing next door? Bullshit. Not if you're willing to put money into the competitor for basically somebody that's trying to occupy the attention for the same night. If you really want us to have the best of your heart for boxing as a sport, do not involve Dana White, especially because the amount of fighters and even people that were talking about how little they were getting paid for fighter pay in the UFC, and even Power Slap in and of itself, the prize money for that is a measly $2,000 for guaranteed CTE. Dana White is not going to be a boon to the sport of boxing whatsoever.
Yeah, man. Again, Dana White is a parasite. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he hasn't been successful. He has. He truly believed in MMA, and it worked out for him. Again, it's real easy for it not to work out. It's real easy for it to work out for you when you're not the one really footing the bill. But listen, Dana White is not someone to be trusted, especially when it comes to boxing, especially because his real ambition has always been boxing. Again, don't take my word for it. Go watch some of his early interviews. He has always wanted to be a boxing promoter. He's always wanted to be in there as part of boxing. And now because of the pockets of somebody else, Turki Al-Sheikh, he's going to get to do that. Listen, who knows how it's really going to work? I mean, obviously at this juncture, we have all these promoters that have signed contracts with all these big boxers. So who knows how that would even work, how they would even bring boxers into this foray, maybe something between them and Turki Al-Sheikh and, maybe Netflix or ESPN or whoever would be broadcasting the show. Who knows how it would really work, but at the end of the day, I don't trust Dana White. There's no reason why Dana White should be trusted. The only reason he can say he puts on the best fights for the UFC is because he essentially has a monopoly. And again, the mere fact that they're willing to settle out of court with a lot of these former MMA stars goes to show you it's because they have a monopoly. They'd rather not have the entire world go through all their stuff, all their filings, all their records, all their insider information than to go with it. They're willing to shell out a bunch of money, which was kind of pathetic because, it's essentially 1 year's worth of UFC financial gain just to make it go away. But look, listen, again, the only real problem that I have with it is Dana White. You can question Turki Al-Sheikh, sure, and obviously he wanted to beat Canelo Alvarez, which it didn't work out for him. Go watch our video that we did about that. When he was competing up against Canelo Alvarez, it didn't work out for him. And I think this is just another instance of it should not be applauded what they're doing. I've seen a couple other combat sports enthusiasts, True Jordan, all of them say, hey, they totally want to see this happen. Listen, if you really care about the boxers, like if you really care about the people in him, why would you want this? The way you guys see the way that he underpays MMA stars, now you want that to happen to boxers as well? It's not a good look, man. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.